Hey guys, it's Aman
And Christina
from Our Rich Journey. On today's show, we're going to show you some tips to save a lot of money on your utility bill. In fact, we thought about doing this show in the dark to save money on our utility bill, but we're not. But we're going to show you some really great tips and tricks that you can use.
Tip number 1 is to unplug your electronics. Now, maybe you've heard of this before and you don't really know why, but there is a huge myth that if you just turn off your electronics, then you're not using any more energy. But in fact, if you turn off your electronics and leave it plugged in, you're still soaking up 10% of energy just by having it plugged in and turning it off.
So by electronics, we're talking about your TV, your toasters, your coffee makers, all these things that you just routinely leave plugged in. Basically, it's anything that's plugged in. So Christina said it's still using 10% of energy. I call that the 10% tax just for being plugged in. Now this may seem like kind of an inconvenience to go around the house and plug things in and unplug things, but there are a couple different ways that you can do this to minimize the level of effort. One is to have everything plugged into a surge protector. So if you have electronics that are in a certain area of your house, plug those into the surge protector, and then when you're not using them, just unplug the surge protector. All the electronics that are connected won't be drawing power.
Another thing you can do to make it more convenient is to spread out the tasks. So if you have multiple people in your household, assign a different room for each person. So for our daughters, they're each assigned their own room. Before they leave for school each day, they check the outlets, make sure everything's unplugged, and then that room is covered.
Along those lines of unplugging things, is also some things we tend to leave plugged in for too long, like our phones. Once your phone has reached 100% of its charge, you should unplug it. And in fact, if you really want to go after the low-hanging fruit, or if you really want to get into this, what you can do is don't charge your phone in your house, but only charge it in your car.
The next tip is to run your appliances during non-peak hours. So a lot of utility companies will charge you more if you're using appliances during peak hours. And those things are like your washing machine, your dryer, your dishwasher. Those things, if you use it during non-peak hours, which are late at night, you're getting charged less than if you were to use those things during the day.
So a good way to do this is to wash your dishes right before you go to bed, or start a load of laundry right before you go to bed. Have it run overnight when the peak hours are at their minimum.
And along the lines of doing laundry and washing dishes is that you want to make sure that you're doing full loads when you do them. So when you run your dishwasher at night when you're sleeping, make sure it's a completely full load. And when you're doing your laundry before you go to bed, make sure that's a full load also. When we're talking about optimizing spaces, one of the great things about dishwashers is that you can put in a lot of plates and cups next to each other. So if you have big, huge pots, don't put them in the dishwasher where they're gonna take up your space. You wanna optimize space. So wash the big pots and pans in the sink, and then instead of putting a big pot in the dishwasher, fill it up with 15 different plates that you could place there instead. The next tip is about water usage. So if you are taking a bath, you are using a lot of water versus a shower. So our tip or our recommendation is to take a shower versus a bath.
A low-flow shower head uses about 2 gallons a minute, or 20 gallons for a 10-minute shower. Most people use about 30 gallons of water for a bath.
If you use 20 gallons for a 10-minute shower versus 30 gallons of water for a bath, you're saving 10 gallons. If you apply it to a 4-person family 7 days a week, you're saving 280 gallons a week. And if you multiply that out through the year, that's almost 15,000 gallons of water a year.
Another tip is to install a low-flow shower head.
A conventional shower head uses about 3 to 4 gallons of water per minute. If you install a low-flow shower head, you're only using 2 gallons of water per minute. The next tip is to adjust your thermostat. The Department of Energy estimates that you can save up to 1% in your utility bill for every degree that you adjust on your thermostat for 8 hours. So if you're in the winter months, if you adjust your heat and make it a little bit cooler than you normally would, you can save energy that way. And if you're in the summertime, instead of making it super cold, if you make it a little bit warmer, then you can save money that way. If you adjust your temperature for 7 to 10% or 7 to 10 degrees, you can save 7 to 10% on your utility bill.
Or you can do what we do is we put on sweaters, or we take off clothes and we open windows. We don't even use the thermostat. The next tip, and I really like this one, you can use aluminum foil in your dryers to dry your clothes faster. In fact, it cuts down on the drying time by 25%.
And the reason why this works is because it does separate your clothes. And by separating, it allows your clothes to dry faster. And what I really like about this idea is that it's a green alternative to fabric softeners or dryer sheets. And you can use the aluminum foil ball numerous times.
Over and over again.
And the last tip is to use LED light bulbs. Now, LED light bulbs are more expensive than other standard light bulbs, but they last up to 23 years versus 1 year for a standard light bulb.
Yeah, so LED light bulbs, I'm very cheap, okay? So when we would go to the hardware store to replace our light bulbs, I would see the expensive LED light bulbs and I would shy away from those. But the return is really significant.
Now, like we said, LED lights last up to 23 years and they are more expensive. They cost about $8 or you can get them for a little bit less. And the traditional incandescent light is only $1. But if you look at an LED light, it lasts for 23 years or up to 23 years, whereas the traditional incandescent light only lasts for 1 year. Now, if you spread out all the costs for an LED light versus an incandescent light over a 23-year period of what it lasts for an LED light, you're paying $38 for the LED light with all the costs associated with it and the electricity that you would use versus $201 for the incandescent light. These are our top tips for saving money on utilities, and it's a great way to protect the environment and do something environmentally conscious. So if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.